Okay. Okay, now I can take it. So hello, YouTube. My name is William. Okay. Okay, today's video is called. Let me get this right. So what does the Bible say about stars? But before I can get into that now, me consider what stars are called in other languages. So that's what I was going to do right now. Star. The word star is Australia. You might know that already if you know Spanish, if you live here in the United States. If you don't, and you might know. Now, French, well, I don't know. It's because I look at Google Translate, it still says star, but I'm not sure if that's pronounced correctly in French. Let me take a look. Okay.
Star.
So star in French is still called star is still called star in French. Okay, so it's still pronounced correctly. Okay. So all right. Well, all right. So that star is still called star in French. Okay. Well, so that's an easy one. Um, you probably don't know the one in Mandarin.
星星
Okay. So my Google Translate is translating star is Jing Jing. If I'm saying it, I'm not even sure I'm saying it correctly, but yeah, yeah. And then there's a Jing itself. I'm not sure I'm saying it correctly because I'm not saying sure. I'm not sure I'm saying it in the correct tone because I don't know. I don't know Mandarin very well. That's why I'm just. But I'm looking at Google Translate and find out what it says. I don't think I'll be able to pronounce the one in Arabic.
نجمة.
Najma. Okay. It's star in Arabic. But, I'm probably gonna do. Here's what star in Japanese.
星.
Hoshi. Okay. Or it could be Shin Shin. You want to call that as well. I think here's it in Korean.
Kelly. Kelly.
Boy.
Kelly. Kelly.
Boy. Okay. Boy. Okay, boy. Okay. So boy is star in Korean, but I'm probably not saying it correctly, but that's probably.
Estrella.
And straight, yeah, that'll be the one right I had about before. So that's the one. Okay. That's in Spanish anyway. Alright. Let's go to so that's how to say star in other languages, but how to say but it's the Bible say about stars. Well, the God created stars on day 4 of his creation week. So that's why I know. The stars also. And God made 2 great lights. The great light to rule the day, and less light to rule the night, and he made the stars also. That's Genesis 1 verse 16. Now, the sun is the greater light. The moon is a lesser light. Okay? And how do I know the moon is a lesser light? Because while the moon is getting slight reflected from the sun, and that's how I know the moon is a lesser light. On the 4th day of the creation week, God made 2 great lights. The great day, the 2 lights, the day, which is the sun, and night, which is the moon. And almost like afterthought, he made the stars also. Nothing, of course, afterthought with God. Let's emphasize the importance these parts of his creation, whether or not in geographical center of the universe, or the center of God's interest of the universe. This is where he created man and woman in his own image, when he will, and he reigned over his creation in the ages to come. The prime members of stars, as well as the sun and the moon, it was to divide the day from the night, and by signs and for seasons and for days and years. And he gave light upon the earth. Genesis chapter 1 verse 14 and 15. And they could not fulfill these functions, of course, if their light could not be seen from the earth. So it can be sure that these heavenly bodies, that their light's rays were created like Adam and Eve, full grown in a state of functioning maturity. All that can be known scientifically about the stars that must be determined from the light intensity and spectra. Their distances can be measured by geometry only about 300 light years. Another mention any great distances, size, symmetry, etc. They can be derived by invariance based on theory of the stellar evolution. Although stars may look like even through a telescope, they appear mere points of light. See, calculations of Usoni is unique. And revealed long ago in Scripture, one star is different than another star in glory. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 1. Those who believe there are more than just ages to come, their wisest shall come. The stars are as the stars ever and ever. Genesis chapter 12 verse 3. Now, That's and created them. So God created. So these why stars didn't form because God created the stars on day 4 of His creation week. That's why. So how old the stars are according to the Bible? Only about, well, they're all the same age, about 6,364 years old. 6,300 years old. According to the Bible, that's what I believe. They're all the same age. They're not different ages. Now, I'm looking for, I actually had a forward slash. But I was looking for Psalm 107 verse 14 where it says, oh, here, He telleth the number of the stars, and He calleth them by their names. That's the verse I was looking for. So God counts the number of the stars. Okay, God tells it. So God tells the number of the stars, and He calls them by their name. Well, what do you mean by tell? He is counting the number of the stars, and He's calling them by their names. So God can count stars. So we can't count stars. So we can't count all the stars, but God can. Right? So what? Well, here's why God can count all the number of the stars is because He created them. That's why. That's how He knows how many stars are there in the sky. And He knows how many hairs you have on your head, and He knows how much fur my cat has. My pet cat has. My pet cat Frank. I think He knows how much fur my cat has and stuff. So He knows a lot of things. So God knows more things than I do. I know He's smarter than me. Now, what about stars? Now we need to count which ones are. Now, how do stars go by color? Well, I believe they go color by the rainbow spectrum. Do you know what rainbow is? Well, the rainbow is from the global flood. Remember? The rainbow's from the global flood. And the color of the rainbow, you get red. Now, the physical colors of the rainbow, are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and indigo, and violet. Okay, which is the 7 colors of the rainbow. And that's how, and I believe the stars go by the rainbow spectrum. Of how much heat they can emit. Now, if you want to talk about which red stars, you might have to take a look at which ones. Now, the red star. Now, what about a red dwarf star? Now, the red dwarf star I'm looking at is TRAPPIST-1, but you can also apply this to Proxima Centauri. Because Proxima Centauri is another star. It's the closest red dwarf star to us. And it's the 7th Earth-sized planet discovered in orbiting a red dwarf star called TRAPPIST-1. Here it says right here, secular scientists are excited about the detention on 7 Earth-sized planets in the constellation Aquarius on a nearby system, according to a report of planets over a parent star called TRAPPIST-1, a distance of allowed water exists in the surface. Many evolutionists are agreeing with this suggestion that the life one or more planets are just around the corner of this unread explanation lies beyond the known facts. Just because there are many positions of the surface that water exists, that don't mean water is there. Even if liquid water does not, more complex organic life remain possible. Evolutionists know that serious mechanical problems of getting life arise simultaneously from aquatic environment. Water structure resides reaction prevent, not promote. So it's just add water, and then these other additions such as forming molecules could never put themselves together and produce a living cell. It's just an event. It requires from this plan social creation. It's just an event and nothing less than miraculous. Exoplanets, planets orbiting a star from our sun, is less than stellar track record when it comes to harboring life. Usually, origin for starters, these are dozens of infertility requirements that need, however, the fall order letters of exist and thrive. Regardless, NASA Chief Thomas Zurbuchen said, the discovery of gives hint of inviting a second Earth. Doesn't matter if, not but when. Other evolutionary scientists may contend of incidents with long separating habitability zone requirements. There are many factors that make our solar system too hostile for life, even to get started, let alone survive any period long enough to evolve. So, water star provides conditions for a habitable planet elsewhere in the universe. Should ask that any of these planets have a moon and have stabilized planet's rotation axis? If so, does the moon cause tides? That's just right for mixing water. Tidal habitable zone. For the Earth, it depends of our moon, and for that and other reasons. Liquid water can only exist within a secular stellar habitable zone. These three planets must be irradiated from TRAPPIST-1 for water to exist on them. What about the rotation of these planets? Life can exist if that rotates too fast or slow. This is yet none of the Goldilocks problem for astrobiologists to consider. Yet these planets have a magnetic field that protects from light damaging rays from TRAPPIST-1. These flaws in natural systems seen as scientists appeal to deep evolutionary time. TRAPPIST-1 is at least 500 million years old, and it will live up to another 10 trillion years. And it will exit of its life not found. If the planets do not have life now, it could evolve. But that's what they believe. Well, that's because they believe in 10 trillion years. They believe that red dwarf stars will turn into a blue dwarf star. You know. Now, there could be such thing as blue dwarf stars today, and to me, I believe there is. And evolutionists fall, and it makes their Big Bang theory and evolution theory false. So, to me, there goes your blue dwarf star life. So to me, there goes your red dwarf life cycle, evolutionists. Okay. Okay, because you're wrong. I believe there's blue dwarf stars today. Anyway, let's keep reading. Throughout the article, words such as believe, prospect, and hope, maybe, and even if appear as foundation of science, of physical science. Of the smoke and hype, but clear what remains only astronomers. So they discovered 7 roughly Earth-sized planets orbiting a star. Creationists are likely to discover now new worlds that God created for His glory. Now, what about blue stars? Well, there's different kinds. What about the red giant? Well, the biggest red giant star is called New White Scooty. The biggest star in our universe is called UY Scuti. Okay? It's 1,007 times larger than our sun. And I believe, if it got replaced, if that star got replaced by our solar system, well, it will probably orbit always the. It will probably. Do you know how big this star is? To me, I believe this star, the UY Scuti, is probably as big as the orbit of Uranus. So if UY Scuti is replaced with our sun, it's replaced from our sun. If replaced the sun. If our stars got replaced by UY Scuti, well, then our solar system, well, won't be good because it will engulf all the way to the orbit of Uranus. You know, that's what will happen. You know, because that's how big UY Scuti is. You know, it's bigger than because it's bigger than VY Canis Majoris, and and even bigger, and yes, it's even bigger than because it's bigger than Betelgeuse, and it's even bigger than VY Canis Majoris. Because Betelgeuse will only engulf away to the orbit of Jupiter. VY Canis Majoris will only engulf away to to Saturn, while UY Scuti will engulf all the way to the orbit of Uranus. And that's the biggest known star to be found. There might be some stars that are bigger than UY Scuti, we just haven't found them yet. Anyway, any of them that are probably bigger will probably, if we place those or something, it might engulf the orbit of Neptune. If they're bigger than UY Scuti. Anyway, now we're also talking about blue stars. And what kind of blue stars we're talking about? Blue giant stars. Now, I'll show you the most massive star. Most massive. The most massive star in the universe is called R136A1. Okay? So you've seen that TRAPPIST-1 is a red dwarf star. Okay. Now, a star that's above that would be an orange star. And a star above an orange star would be a yellow dwarf star. But people are calling our sun yellow dwarf star. And our sun is not yellow. It's white. The sun looks yellow because... Now, why does our sun look yellow? Because of our thick atmosphere. That's why. You know, it's just our atmosphere. Our sun is probably the sun looks white when you look at outer space. So it just looks white. To me, I believe the sun is probably a green star. Probably a green dwarf star. That's what I believe. Because why? Because it looks white when you look at outer space. That's why. It's just looked yellow to us because of our thick atmosphere. Even though it's white, it's probably a green star. Or you can also call it a green dwarf star. So to me, I believe our sun is a green dwarf star, not yellow dwarf. That's what I believe. That's what I believe anyway. Hey, if you disagree with me, you know, that's fine. That's just what I believe. It's just my belief, because the sun is white, not yellow. I'm looking for the names of blue stars. Bolachicks. Okay, so there is okay. Alcyon. Okay, there'll be Alcyon, which is a blue giant star. I believe that's a blue star. Now there's also Rigel. Okay. Now Google is saying that Rigel is a blue supergiant. To me, I believe Rigel is probably an indigo star. Why? Because it says blue supergiant. I believe it's an indigo star. You know, so why does indigo stars look more bluer and brighter? Well, and bigger. Because I think that's how indigo stars emit light. So I believe Rigel is an indigo star. Indigo. And now the most massive star, which is 1R3, which is R1B6A1. Do you know what kind of star that is? To me, I believe it's a violet star. You know? Because why? And why do I believe that R136A1 is a violet star? Because it's the most massive star in our universe. You know? And it's bluer and brighter. It's just, that's how I know it's probably I believe. So I do believe, so to me I believe that R1B6A1 is probably a violet star. Even though it looks blue to us and brighter. So yeah, green stars will look white, which will be our sun. Indigo stars will look blue and brighter, which will be Rigel. And I believe violet stars will look even more blue, but brighter, which will be R1B6A1. And I don't know if there's any other stars that are bigger than 136A1. But the stars that are bigger than that are probably going to be ultraviolet stars, and they're probably invisible. Okay. But their stars are lower than red dwarf stars, which will be brown dwarfs. And now brown dwarf stars, they will give infrared light. It will be, now brown dwarfs are infrared stars. I guess they call them infrared dwarf stars, I guess. But they're infrared stars and they will give infrared light. That's what I believe for brown dwarfs. I believe brown dwarfs are infrared stars. Infrared, that's what I believe. They're between a star and a planet. They're between a planet and a star, but I believe they're infrared stars because they're giving infrared light. Okay, now, here's the article, Young Blue Stars Found in the Milky Way. So why do I believe that blue stars don't last very long? Probably because, first of all, red dwarf stars are actually, to me, I believe red dwarf stars are shrinking, and I believe they will probably last, I don't know, maybe less than 10,000 years, that's what I believe. But what about blue giant stars? And indigo and violet stars? How long did they last? Well, let's find out. So the Hubble-based telescope has been programmed for search for planets, and it's ready to about blue and Milky Way galaxy. These stars are burned so brightly that you can consume their fuel much faster than other stars, and they are found more abundant in distant galaxies. Discovering nearby blue stars presents a particular problem in certain long-range cosmologies. Blue stars should not exist in the universe as it is 13.7 billion years old, because it should burn out billions of years ago. University of South Carolina astronomer Danny Faulkner recently noted that in fact, the hottest blue stars could last only a few million years at best. Okay. Both creationists and evolutionists acknowledge this fact. Thus, evolutionists proposed that these stars constantly generate during long time span. That by this means, the blue stars forming even now, despite the density. However, astronomers never observed one blue star is forming, or any other star for that matter, Faulkner wrote. Physical barriers of star formation collapse in gases. Star nature only for formation of primitive, because the star denser cloud of gas becomes vigorously particles repel one another. A long age has been found of explanation of the inestimable appeal for magic. Blue stars have been formed in a distant past unknown, observed. For instance, our DNA news of announcing about discovery admitted it is now clear how blue stranglers form. They're discovered stranglers because they appear behind aging process, apparently older and better colored stellar peers. Also, according to their news, some 42 objects may not be blue stars. Mix of foregone objects, 1837, blue stranglers. The telescope is unto a galactic core, which is the very dense of its stars and gases. For over the years, astronomers have observed more blue stars further away, therefore further back in time. Thus, the assertions of short-lived stars such as a natural unknown formation. Megasuns have able to hide a shroud of distance. It could have occurred billions of years ago, but then perhaps if anyone insists that don't sound so crazy. But these are newly discovered blue stars, only 26,000 light years away, and these if these stars were products of nature and not God, and reasonable not only to the explanation that they were formed of each but is not. Young, hot blue stars are very close, as well as very far away, as they look to be supposed to a natural explanation of origin can no longer united for great distances above the end of the universe. So if these stars are only thousands of years old, then blue stars no need special explanation. The scientific evidence shows that the Bible clearly states that blue stars were put in place on purpose recently. So blue stars, and indigo stars and violet stars, to me, these stars, they prove that the universe is young, not old, or probably thousands of years old, 6,400 years old. That's what I believe. And that's the picture of the telescope. So all is trying to get saved according to the Bible. The point of evolution is to damn souls to hell. When you go to heaven, believe all Lord Jesus Christ. Salvation is by faith alone, grace and Jesus alone. And then once they are saved, by easy belief into truth, meaning you can't lose your salvation to remain. That salvation is either to just believe on Jesus Christ for salvation. Now, what we do in the next video, but it will be something I don't know. My next video is about Valentine's Day. So it's for holidays again. and then President's Day, and I'll talk about constellations after that. So we talk about next, those I'll talk about in those 2 next videos, okay? Anyway, I have to go right now. I hope that shows you that stars prove the Bible and not evolution. That's what I believe according to the Bible. Anyway, I have to go right now. So thank you for watching this video. Just bye.